If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Central Valley Talk, and welcome to Ray John's American Patriot. Now, before we get into the show, I have got to acknowledge people again. Again, people have called me and sent me notes and cards and stuff and wishing me well, and I am back, practically back. I think I'm 70, 80%. Hopefully, Monday I go to the doctor and I get a complete release and get back in the gym. But just Mark and Jeremy at the gym, and Karen and Brenda and Cynthia, Melinda, Teresa, all of you people, and I know I've left a bunch of you out. Thank you so much for your kind phone calls, for your texts, for your cards, everything. And you've been great at helping me get over this. And if you're looking at me now, don't I look good? I'm ready. I'm back, I think. Anyway, we're Ray John's American Patriot now, and every week we feature a kind of an unsung hero. We all know about Hamilton and Washington and all those people, so I'm trying to do someone that no one's heard of. This week is John Henry Knox. He didn't like his first name, so he was usually known as Henry Knox. Now, this guy was a brawler. I mean, he was a guy that went into bars and he got into fights and he did everything. And because of getting into fights, he was crippled and he had a very pronounced limp. Well, he loved military strategy, so he met a woman who changed his life around. He ended up buying a bookstore called the London Bookshop in Boston, and he studied military strategy from books, and that's how he learned. And so he went to try to get on with the state militia. They turned him down because he had a pronounced limp. Well, not to be one who gives up, he made the long trek to see George Washington. Well, when he showed up with all these plans he had for battle. And it's known that George Washington had a knack for just reading people and knowing who would be good and who wasn't. He knew this young man was great. So he actually commissioned him, put him in charge of a unit, sent him back to Boston, and he was very instrumental in the very first victory that the colonists saw against Britain by driving them out of Boston. And he eventually became our first Secretary of War. So our American Patriot this week, John Henry Knox. We're going to do that every week. I love it. And, of course, now sitting next to me, my favorite American Patriot, Gary Miguel. Boy, he's a true patriot, too. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good.
What are we talking about this week?
I don't know. It's up to you.
Well, as long as Trump's in there,
yeah.
we got it.
Well, I mean, there's no shortage of material to talk about.
No.
If you're a political show, man, it's a heyday.
Oh my gosh, is it ever? There's so much going on, and I mean, it's like Gary told me last night, we're talking on the phone. We talk all the time. We text each other all the time. And we're talking on the phone last night, and he was telling me that, Trump didn't have to do this. And we've said that before. He did not have to do this. It's a calling with him. And it is. It's like a calling for him. He could have been sitting back on his yacht. Certainly, if I'd have been him, I would have been sitting back. I wouldn't have gone through all this stuff that the media and the libtards are putting him through, Gary.
That's what normally people do. You build a deal like he did, and then you sit there and live out your life at leisure.
You're in your golden years,
yeah.
Absolutely,
yeah.
And I would be enjoying mine. I would not be putting up with the crap from these people. But thank goodness we have Donald Trump.
He's putting up with such a huge sacrifice. It's just, he sacrificed on top of that. He sacrificed the money that's paid to the President of the United States. He gives it to charity.
Oh, I know he does.
So he's doing it for free.
Yeah.
Number one. Okay, or whatever number you want. But anyway, it's not just him that's sacrificing.
It's his family. Look at that. Look at his 11-year-old child?
Yeah, and look at
poor
his
kid.
wife. I mean, you go on and on.
His wife is
it's a tremendous sacrifice. People have no idea what he is sacrificing to do one thing, and that's to make America great again.
Which he is doing, by the way.
And it's even, people are starting to realize, at least I know I have, it's not just making America great again. It's saving America, period.
Exactly.
Because this thing is headed, I'm telling you, headed to Venezuela in a handcart.
Oh, yeah. It had Hillary Clinton have been elected, we'd have been well on our way by now.
Well, I mean,
Thank
it was
goodness.
programmed that way. And that goes back to Obama. And it goes
Of
back
course
to,
it does.
you know.
Clinton, yeah.
If you go back to Clinton, you go back to, I would say now the deep state as it is and the corruption, and that goes back 40, 50 years.
Oh, yeah.
However, presidents like the Bushes, the Clintons, and the Obamas are just
Contributed too, yeah.
I mean, they were masterminds in heading this thing down to Venezuela type of a situation here.
It's interesting to see where we're going, you know, and I've had people this week come up to me and start talking to me about, you know, the stock market and stuff, and I said, just hang on.
Well, let's talk about that, darn it, now that you mentioned it.
I'm glad
I
I
get
did
upset
because,
with that.
Gary, I want your opinion on that.
Well, my opinion is very simple. The market goes up and down.
And it always has.
And it's just like the tide. The tide goes out, the tide comes in. The tide goes out, the tide comes in.
They're looking for anything to blame on. Well, look at this.
How can they blame that on Trump?
Yeah.
I mean, my Lord, where do you want to go? Back to where it'd be right? I'll tell you where it'd be with Clinton. It'd be somewhere around 4,000 or 5,000, if that.
If that.
I guarantee you that.
You know, keep watching CNN, and you'll keep getting the bad stuff.
But look where the market. Whoever dreamed the market would go to 15,000.
Oh,
At one time,
gosh.
whoever dreamed it'd go to 10,000.
Yeah.
Now it's 25,000.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Nobody,
Unbelievable.
all right? So you have to have a market correction. I will say this: I expected the correction to have come a lot sooner.
Oh, did you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I thought it was going to come somewhere around November. I got a real strong buy signal. I get a couple of these a year, buy and sells, okay? And I got a real strong buy signal on August 18th. And usually about every 3 or 4 months you get
A buy signal.
a correction. And so, and that's what this is, a correction. Okay, so it's not a crash, it's none of that. However, back to August 18th, look at the climb. It's unprecedented in the history of the stock market. Never has it climbed that high.
Unreal.
So let's say it goes back to where it was August 18th.
Which I know it will.
People would be, I remember August 18th.
Yeah.
I remember August. People were saying, oh man, look at the stock market. It's going great. What if it just stayed there? No, it went on up.
Oh, it kept going. Yeah.
And people were happy when it was there August 18th.
Yeah.
People are so stupid. I hate to say that, but I'm not hate to say it. I just fact.
You're going to say it.
My Lord, the stock market goes from November of the election, 2016. 2017, there it is in August, and it's phenomenal. And now it goes from there to where it is today, which is, nobody would ever believe that in that length of time, in that short of time. And then now it bubbles, it corrects, and I think it should correct down to 15,000.
Yeah.
Or 14,000. That's where it should correct to.
Yeah.
And then
Start
back up.
Yeah.
But you got to have these corrections, and those corrections are all about what the market has. It's not one event or one person ever.
Well, you and I both know. It's like, you know, the media is like, I don't know what you'd call them. They're like little gremlins or something. That's
Well, they're not very smart people.
They're peeking around the rock, and they're just waiting for something to jump on
Well,
down
they're
Trump
not
about.
smart people. They got an agenda.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what it is,
No,
Gary.
They don't even know what they're for.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what it is. It's like they're just waiting for something to happen that they can blame him for. I mean, my goodness, it's getting to be ridiculous.
Well, here's the thing, though. You go into that, of course, you ignore it, or you have to ignore it. But as far as the market, it's a cycle that's bigger than anything or anyone. Okay, I'll give you an example. And what you'll have is a spike. Let's take 9/11.
Okay.
We had a tremendous spike down, but it came back
Almost instantly.
because
did,
that's the way market cycles work. They're bigger than humans or all this.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's go back to John F. Kennedy when he was
Assassinated.
Boom. What happened a couple of months later? Market's right back where it was. So the point I'm trying to make, it's not any one person
Yeah.
that breaks the stock market.
Yeah.
It's the normal thing. I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm saying, wow, this is way overdue. I'm glad it's happening.
Yeah.
Because I know that the higher it goes, it's like everything
Absolutely.
else. The bigger it's going to fall. So let's take some of that steam out of there, and then
Get ready to rebuild
and
again.
Get ready
Yeah.
to go again. You know, and that's how the thing works. The thing that I do know about the market, and it's a shame it is not done. And then I think about it, and there's a reason it's not done. The stock market is not that complicated, because if you're looking at something that goes up and down, it's just think of it as the tide. It comes in and out,
Goes
comes
back,
in
yeah.
and out, right? But here's the problem, Ray. Think about all the minutia that we are taught in our schools, including the finest schools like the University of Chicago or Harvard or all the business schools. They do not teach the people what it is with the stock market and what it is with economics, period.
Yeah.
Or what it is with financial. Okay, so then something so basic, why isn't it taught? There's a reason. They don't want you
They
to
don't want
know.
you. Yeah, absolutely.
You
That's
don't
what I was
want
going to
you to
say.
know.
Yeah.
You know, people ask me this because the market, like I say, goes down. Well, what I've done is spent 15 years developing something that will give me an accuracy that I can rely on.
Yeah.
I'm not the only guy in the world who's done that, you know, but the people have done that. But it takes a long time because we have no foundation. I mean, it's like somebody sending you out there and says, go invent the car.
Yeah.
It's going to take you 15 years before you get that car.
Yeah.
You don't even know how to do, what it is or how to do it. Stock market thing's the same thing. But what if it was taught in school? And I'm saying the age of 13,
Oh, yeah.
that people start
Absolutely,
learning. Okay?
it should be taught.
Now, what a lot of people don't know is you make just as much money when it goes down
That's when
as
it
when
goes
it
up.
goes up. Hey, well, how can that be? Because the stock market can be sold and bought at a later date. That's called shorting the market.
Yeah.
And the average person has no clue about anything like that. And it's so simple, you know? Okay, people ask me all the time, well, Gary, when do you think the market's going to top? I said, I never know when, but I always know where.
Yeah.
That's all I got to know. Okay, and they asked, well, who would be the best trader that you could possibly get? You know, when and guys like Warren Buffett and all of them are market traders.
Yeah.
They don't buy and hold. They tell you to do that, but they don't do it.
Uh-huh.
They time it, but they tell you to hang on
Yeah.
because they need you to buy when they,
Doggone right they do.
you know. And so then they asked me, said, well, who would make the best trader? I says, I'll tell you the best trader around here that I know. I said, you go down to Roding's Park at night, and you go to the monkey cage, and you steal one of those monkeys.
I love this story. Tell this whole thing, Gary. It's great.
And then you take that monkey home, and you got it set up to where there's a green light and a red light. And that monkey sits there, and when he sees the green one, he presses it, and when he sees it red, he presses it.
One's
And
buy, one sell.
One buy, one sell, and then he gets a banana.
Yeah.
I got a banana right by my screen to remind me to keep being a monkey. Because
You can't get any simpler than that,
well,
can you?
that's how simple it is. And so then, well, the trick is, or the big secret of it all, is your own mind.
Yeah.
And that's what takes the time. Yeah, I didn't realize the brain takes that long to readjust, but it does. That's why libtards are still libtards. They got to take it a while. You see what I mean? Okay, now, if that's the case, then what is the reason? The reason is because we tend to see what we believe and not believe what we see.
Absolutely. That's been proven time after time.
Right.
Absolutely.
Now let's put the monkey there again. He doesn't look that all. He knows he's going to get a banana, whichever one he presses.
Yeah.
And
He just wants one to come on so he can press
he
it.
don't care. He doesn't care which one. Well, neither should you.
Yeah.
Okay, now is it green? Yeah, boom, I hit green. Was it boom? I hit red. Well, when do I get my banana? Okay, now when do I get my next banana? When the light turns green, and boom, he gets. Oh, he loves it when the market's been going right here this last week. He's getting fat. That monkey. and so it's a basic thing that it's not taught in school,
That's very unfortunate.
and that's very unfortunate. And they do not want you to know. I talked to she was a master's degree in finance from Harvard, and she, she's in with all this, the PE ratios and all that stuff. And she says, well, don't you have to know about all that? I said, I don't have to know a thing. All I got to know is red and green.
Yeah.
She says, well, I like to see. I showed her my deal, and she said, wow, that's real there. I said, yeah, that's real. That's all there is to it.
Can't get any simpler.
And she said like this, and she said, I asked her, I said, you mean all those years you spent and everything else, you didn't know the basics of that? And I knew she was going to say, well, no, because I didn't either. I went to school, too. I didn't just sit home in a log cabin, And so, but you never taught that.
Yeah. No one was.
They don't want you to know. Okay? I'm telling you, it's sad.
It really is.
I did talk to a guy. I ran across him on the internet, and he's 22 years old right now. And he started when he was 13 on his own. Now, there's people that do that, But anyway, he said, no, I just got interested, and I started when I was 13. Well, it took him 8.5 years. Of course, I can understand that. He's young, and he's born with a computer in his crib, And so anyway, he said, he says, I'm 22 years old, and I finally got it, And I said, well, how well are you doing, And this was last August. He says, so far I've made right at $1 million. We'll see how I end up at the end of the year.
Whoa. Yeah.
Started when he was 13. And it's something that he had to self-teach. Now, can you imagine if he had somebody that was
teaching
helping
him? Oh, my goodness.
And I talked to these guys from India. There was 4 of them. They formed kind of a little group, and they were doing this, and they could not understand.
Doing it as a group, huh?
Yeah, as a group. And they could not understand why the Americans. He says, why? What is it that you guys don't do this? And they were just, well, there's a kid 13 come over. He's a migrant, came over from Pakistan with his parents. When he was 13, he got interested. Some about age 13, I guess. But and this is fact because he's in pictures in magazines and all this. And he's 18 years old and he's made $74 million.
Oh my goodness! My goodness!
Yep. And so I thought, wow. And it's no limit to it.
Yeah.
But that's something else. 99.9% of the people aren't even going to, that's beyond what they even want to think about. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And why, I don't know, but that's okay. But the point is, what they can do for themselves is they can be taught this in school to where it's just as natural as anything else. And guess who's getting the trillions? Because there's trillions traded every day. Let me tell you who's getting the trillions, and that's why Trump is getting all the grief. It's those people back there that are churning that money.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's take your retirement, Ray, and let's assume you was the only guy that was retired and had all the retirement in the United States. That would equal $24 trillion. Now, I have no idea what a trillion looks like and don't care, you know, but the point is it's $24 trillion. And you're the only guy, and you have that. That $24 trillion isn't going to be sitting there in a vault somewhere.
Oh, of course
it's turning.
Not. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now, what they are doing is they are giving you 7%, let's say. You're getting the 7%, which is all the people out there. It's kind of a normal.
Yeah.
Okay? Then I have to ask you the question. Who got the other 93%? Because it does 100%. I've never seen it not do 100%.
Yeah.
Never. And all you had to do is green or red.
Unbelievable.
And so why isn't that kind of thing taught at I would say 8th grade, like we learn civics and the Constitution or something like that, or freshman. When you enter high school freshman, what do? You take algebra.
Yeah.
So, no, you take that and then you start this.
Absolutely. I just don't understand why it is. Gary, we're going to take a little break here, and we'll be back in, say, 2 and 2, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we're back. We're back with Gary. Gary's going to explain some things here to you. Gary, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you talk.
Yeah, right now what we're going through is obviously we're getting closer and closer to start getting rid of all the corruption and so forth. That's not going to happen overnight.
No.
I mean, that stuff's been going on for 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, now, and every department is corrupt in some means or form. I mean, the DMV is corrupt in some fashion.
Yeah.
all these departments have this certain level of corruption and I don't know,
Oh, I found it in my business.
collusion and all
Definitely.
that. Yeah,
You know.
yeah, but it's gotten to where it was, in our case as Americans, it was getting to where we were looking at the overthrow of the United States. And,
Well, I see it
yeah.
personally in rules and regulations. You know, that's where I see it.
Well,
Right,
that's
you know.
right, and there was also by corruption, and you would have it has to go to something, and it becomes a socialist communist country, okay, much like Venezuela,
Yeah.
Cuba.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what this is all about. Okay, and we were at the point to where we were. Remember those 8 steps?
Yeah.
The last step was electing Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, we'd already gone through 7.
Obama
I think, 6
had
or 7.
already started and had it pretty well, laid out in advance, and all he needed was Hillary next.
Yeah.
And it actually started back, like I said, 50-some years, but it really escalated to where now we're down to just the one step. Okay. Now, if you understand that and accept that, I don't care if you're a libtard or not. That's the facts. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of interesting though. There's been 4 big leaders, and they have all this one thing in common. I'm going to name the leaders. I'm
Good.
going to name Mao Zedong.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm going to name Hitler. I'm going to name Stalin. And I'm going to name Obama.
Oh, my goodness.
What do all 4 have in common? They all spied on their people.
They all what?
Spied
Oh, my
on
goodness.
their people. They all have that in common.
That's
Okay.
very interesting.
Okay.
Very
What did
interesting.
Obama use? It's called FISA. FISA.
Explain that, Gary.
Yeah. FISA came about after the 9/11. And the purpose of FISA was to be able to surveil foreigners and spy on foreign, to get the find out who the terrorists are, right?
Yeah.
Or spy on a terrorist.
Yeah.
It would be terrorists. It was only to be used on foreign people, not Americans,
They turned it all around, didn't they?
which they did. And so FISA is so intrusive that once you are picked to be surveilled, anything and everyone you've ever had contact is open season for surveillance.
Oh, my goodness.
Right down, like in Trump's case, all his kids and his wife and their friends and their kids. It goes on. There's no limit as to the surveillance. It's like a
Big Brother
giant-
Live, isn't it?
Yeah, it just expands from there. And so obviously that's one reason why no American gets surveilled
Yeah.
unless no American, and then even a foreigner, you had to have a court, which they formed the FISA court, and I don't know what the acronym stands for, care less. But the point is, it has to be approved by a judge who is a FISA judge, picked to be a FISA judge. So let's say we got this foreigner, Muhammad Ali over in that we think is spying. Now that has to be approved by that judge that this Muhammad Ali goes into this FISA surveillance, and when that does, man, that's everything he's ever. His school teachers in grammar school are even subject to
Anyone that he's associated with,
You're right.
associated with,
Right.
right?
Okay, so what
That's
happened?
scary.
Well, that's why Nunes was white when he found that.
Yeah.
That Americans were being surveilled. Who was the American that they were after? Donald Trump.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
And so they used this Carter Page because Carter Page had at one time been on Trump's campaign.
This is interesting stuff, folks. Pay attention. This is
So-
great stuff.
They didn't use Trump's name. They used Carter Page, who had also worked in the the spy industry at one time. So, but by getting Page, that opened, because of his association with Trump, that opened the door for Trump to be surveilled. Okay, and that meant that everybody was subject to surveillance. Number one, where's the illegality of it all? Number one, you have FISA is not supposed to spy on an American
Well,
of
it's an
any kind.
invasion of privacy on the top of my
Well,
list.
well,
you know.
yeah, I understand that, but the point I'm trying to get at, FISA is so powerful, so intrusive, that it was not even ever to be used on an American.
Yeah.
Obama did,
It all started back with him.
and it started back with him, and whoever's running that guy. He was a puppet, I believe. But anyway, in the FBI itself and in the DOJ itself they call it small group. These are
Oh,
people.
I believe that, all right.
These are the
Especially
people
DOJ.
that are the ones, like Comey,
Like Loretta.
and there's a list, that list, and then who knows how many more. But these are the people who collectively, that Farkas, that leaks and all that, these are the people that collectively, as a small group, went out to destroy Donald Trump and overturn our government and invalidate the American people's votes. There's no democracy anymore. Okay? And these people believe that, their deal, right? So what happens is, they were kind of stupid with how they got about some of that, but
Boy, I love this stuff.
but what happened is, eventually, when Trump started getting surveilled, wiretapping the tower in New York, remember that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Okay, Mike Rogers, who was an admiral, happens to be in the intelligence, and he's a patriot, and he's seen what's going on, and he said, "Man, this isn't right." So I'm shortcutting and taking out details.
Oh, I know
and all
that. Yeah, yeah.
So basically, what he did, he says, "Man, I'm going up to New York and go to Trump Tower," and told Donald Trump, "Man, I got something to tell you. You're being wiretapped."
Yeah, I remember when he...
Okay, so Trump pulled out his entire candidates. This is right after this started right when it was apparent that Trump was going to be the nominee. And okay, so right after Cruz dropped, that's when it really started. The ball started running.
Yeah, because they realized they had to do something.
Yeah, well, they had to do something, and that's where Comey and then Hillary with her email. That's all been a sham, And so Comey and all these people, Brennan, the head of the CIA, the head of the DOJ. I mean, we're talking about the leaders.
Yeah.
Okay? And they're all in this small group to do what? To overthrow
Trump.
Overthrow Trump.
Absolutely.
And really what it is overthrowing Trump, but it's also overthrowing the voters of America. And that election was so fixed for Hillary to win, and she still couldn't win.
Gosh, and she still could. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. And she still couldn't win.
Yeah, and it was rigged her way like you can believe. Well, look, Bernie Sanders had to get him out of there. She bought him a $600,000 house on a lake in Vermont.
Yeah, and boy, that was hushed up real quick.
Well, of course, just like this is trying to be hushed up. You see those Democrats, yap.
Well, somebody said, and the same thing with Comey. Comey ends up with some house, I don't know how much it cost, in New Hampshire somewhere, on an FBI salary, an $800,000 house.
Well, Comey got $6 million from Hillary. Yeah. That's in that.
That was
that's going to get involved with that Iranian deal, which is just now starting. But the point I'm getting at, so that you understand how powerful and scary FISA is.
Well, say they are.
And they get any American. If let's say they nailed you, well then all of a sudden I'm in that.
Oh yeah.
Mike's in there. We're caught in the web.
Oh yeah, all of us.
All of us. And they went after you. Number one, they're not supposed to go after an American.
Yeah.
At all. There's other ways to go after an American, but not that one.
They turned it all around and used it.
And they used what was
supposed. Oh my gosh! Yeah.
And they used it as.
I am not surprised at that at all.
Yeah, and as I wanted to explain to people that understand the basic things about that FISA deal, and why that FISA thing, it had that gone on. Let's say Hillary had been elected, that FISA IRS was doing that already. That was part of the scam. IRS was punishing enemies of the deep state, or Obama in this case. Okay, now the IRS was picking out people and going after them using the IRS. The DOJ, same thing. And you know that the FISA, they're supposed to have this all. It's supposed to be real hard to get an approval if you want to go investigate. Ray Johns, it's got to be pretty damn hard, you know. No, it wasn't.
Not at all.
Because they make up the reason to, and you can't do anything about it.
That's the sad part right there.
Right.
You're totally helpless.
You're helpless. And they could destroy companies, which they did.
Yeah.
And they concoct the evidence, which is that Trump dossier. That stuff's all written, and they trump up the charges. So now let's say you're a company out there at the mobile park, and I'm a company at the mobile park, and so I want to get you out of there because I don't want you as competition. I sit there and send the FBI out there, and the Attorney General or whatever, and prosecute you with evidence that I have written and concocted. Evidence against you.
And let me add a little bit to that. And then, and what do they do? And some of that gets leaked to the media, and now everybody believes it because people believe what they hear and what they see and what they read.
So who wrote the dossier?
They did. The bad people did.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton campaign the Democrat convention. Committee and that whole group.
Doesn't it just blow your mind, Gary, that they went to all this trouble? They've done all these things. They continue to do all these things. And like you said, Donald Trump just keeps plowing along, just keeps saying, here's a little bit more rope, ladies and gentlemen. You know?
Well, and it's coming, and they're twisting in winds right now.
Yeah.
You see, because they didn't, number one, they just could not believe. You remember we talked before about how is a libtard thinks like a libtard, and you can't figure. I get more and more people saying that.
Oh, yeah.
More people. I don't see how a libtard thinks like that. What is it that more and more people are saying? Just everyday people are saying, how does somebody think like that? It's because they do. And I think it's an illness, but you know.
They've been programmed for so long.
I mean, I don't know what's wrong with them. There's something, and so I, you know, other than I don't know. I'm glad I didn't get that disease. Aren't you?
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah.
But they got it. Okay. So they see it that way, and now they go after, in this case, Donald Trump, and they affected everything that anybody's ever shook his hand just about, and they did it with trumped up evidence. Just as I did, used trumped up evidence to get you out of the mobile business. And you said, man, I never did do this. Boy, if you're in that FISA thing,
you did it.
You did it.
Yeah.
And you're out of here.
Yeah.
That's how they do it. So they use it. It's called weaponizing.
It's called what, Gary?
Weaponizing.
Okay.
These departments like the FBI, like the
DOJ.
CIA, the DOJ, and so forth, and they weaponize those departments and use that weapon that they now have, which is what we were just now mentioned. They use that against the American people. They unmask people. Now you're sitting there and you're not got along with the deal, and you happen to be maybe a spy, had worked for years as a spy for the U.S., you know, but you, for some reason, that you did something they didn't like, so they unmask you. You're dead. There's been a lot of people killed because of that FISA unmasking.
Oh, I can believe that. Look at all the people that disappeared under the Hillary administration anyway.
Right.
They're all a part of that.
It's like Donald Trump. He got unmasked, and who knows? Look at all the people that were there, like that Manafort and that Lynch and all that. That's all part of how you get. They were caught in Trump's FISA deal, and it took them, I think, two times to get it approved because they didn't. The judge didn't approve it, but the judge was fixed.
Oh,
they finally got a judge that would pass it. Basically,
they just kept going until they did. Yeah.
And what's in the document of the FISA document is nothing close to being the truth. There is no Russian collusion. The Russian collusion is with the Democratic Party. One of the keys to Alinsky, you know, Marxism and communism, is always accuse the people that
of what you're doing. You accuse them of that. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So so what happens? Who did collude with the Russians? The Democratic Party. Hillary Clinton. What do you think? This is uranium one. That's all connected. I mean, that's a scam of selling the American down the tube like you can't believe. 20%. And we are short of uranium. Why are you selling 1 ounce?
Yeah.
But 20% went to Russia.
Oh, yeah.
But what happened? What happened to Hillary when it went to Russia? She got $145 million.
Of course she did.
Payoff.
Yeah. Went right into little Putin's hands.
Yeah,
Didn't it?
and of course Comey got part of that and all
Yeah.
this. No, it's a that's what it is. I mean, Nick, you can CNN me all you want. It's all lies.
Every bit of it.
Fake news.
Fake news.
I mean, I don't even
And
watch
they
it.
all buy it. Oh, I don't either, Gary.
You know.
I went your way a long time ago.
Yeah.
You know.
But I mean, you can't.
And when people come up and they say things, they make statements about Donald Trump. I said, "Where'd you hear that? Tell me." Oh, I heard it. I heard it on news radio. What station was it? CNN.
Well, we all have
invariably they say
we all have libtard friends and libtard family members and this kind of thing, and obviously, you know, you love these people, but they'll argue. There's no reasoning, which also tells me there must be some kind of a mental issue.
I have one.
A derangement.
We don't talk anymore.
Yeah.
We don't say anything
I got the same
about
thing.
You know.
I think most people that are not libtards have those kind of people.
Oh.
But I actually feel sorry for them
because they don't understand. I mean, it's so ingrained in them. You know.
Well, it's a derangement.
That's a good word.
You know, and so I look at it. I was at a table the other day, and there was a libtard, a young gal from San Francisco, but she was pretty cool in the sense that she never got emotional about it, or she was very open minded. In fact, afterwards, she says, "You know, I think I sit down at a table with you one more time, I'm going to have to change."
Good for you, Gary.
You know, but
that's what we need to do.
But she was really. I could tell she wasn't a. Only reason she was a libtard, saying to me, was because she's living right in the middle of libtards in San Francisco.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
And but anyway, I think there will be a change. But man, I'm telling you, you get somebody there, and you're thinking, how can they think that way?
I've got to tell you something. You're going to get a kick out of this. I'm coming out of the elbow room the other day, and there's these 2 ladies come in. There's this blonde. She's just gorgeous. Blue eyes, long hair. And she stops, and she puts her hands on her hip, and she looks at my shirt. And she says, "Are you kidding me with that shirt? And you're African American?" I said, "You know, that's about the most racist thing anyone's ever said to me."
That's right.
That is about the most racist thing. And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You know what? I was going to leave. I'll come back in. We'll talk about this." And we did, you know.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I didn't change her mind, but, you know, but
well, you're not going to change her mind.
Yeah, no, you're not. But what a racist thing to say to me.
That is racist.
Totally racist. And that's the way
I've always said that these libtards are the most racist people there is.
Are you kidding? And the way she looked at me, she said, "Are you kidding with that shirt? And you're African American? How could you be more racist than that?"
Oh,
my goodness.
She wants you keep you on the plantation. That's
I wish I'd remembered that. I could have said that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Where do you want me to be, on the plantation?
And it's so ingrained in them. You know, it's so, We went back and forth and back and forth. I mean, for about an hour, and I had to go, and so I got out of there, you know, but it was just.
You know, on some of those, if I want to make it simple, I just say, what is it that Trump wants for America and the American
I love that
people
statement. Yeah.
that you don't want for yourself?
Yeah.
That just pretty much ends that. Unless you wanted to really kind of get into the discussion, but that ends it pretty much right
Yeah,
there.
and then you explain the things that he wants. You don't want those. You don't want these things. Yeah. You know.
Well, and they don't even know half of them don't even realize what Trump is doing.
No,
because they're not going to. They shut their mind. They close their mind.
Oh yeah, and they listen, like you and I said, they believe all the false media, so they're already ingrained. It just ingrains them more. You know?
I got a kick out of how Trump trapped the Pelosi.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
During that State of the Union.
Yeah.
And he actually trapped all the Democrats.
Yes, he did.
Because he brings this up. Let's just, and he did that with the ones that were, for the veterans and so forth and so on. But let's just look at the black community right now and think how he trapped them with this. And I was watching those guys.
That was his best one by far, by the way. That was
his best. He basically, he
nailed everything.
He nailed everything, and he says, well, the African American unemployment has never been this low
in the history of this country. in the history of this country.
And you
Never.
would now, if you're, if you're sitting there and you're not a racist, wouldn't you just get up and applaud like hell?
Well, of course.
Not a one of them got up,
No, none of the Democrats. They showed up.
and
None of
neither
them
did Pelosi.
No.
Okay,
No.
now Pelosi sits there for 8 hours the other day, breaks a record filibustering because of illegal immigrants. Now she could stand for 8 hours. How come she couldn't stand up for 30 seconds for Black America?
Yeah.
Because
And,
that's what she was doing.
and I thought about that. It's unfortunate that no one called her on that.
Well,
Someone
she's being
should've.
called on
Yeah,
it.
well, now she has.
Oh
yeah.
man, you got
Yeah.
ammunition. Like,
Yeah.
you remember when Hillary said you deplorables or
Oh, yeah.
and all that? Man, that was the best thing that she
Oh,
could have
yeah.
said. Well, Pelosi did it with that
Yeah.
because how is it? In fact, Diamond and Silk, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They mentioned it.
Yeah.
And how is it you could sit there for 8 hours defending illegal immigrants
And you can't stand.
and you
for it.
can't stand for 30 seconds for Black America? Think, citizens?
It was so sweet. He put them right in
Boy.
their place, right there.
You know, and they have no answer to that.
No.
But I think that what we are having happen though is that I just put a quick explanation of what FISA is, how dangerous it is, and how it can destroy anybody, including a country.
Yeah.
Including a country.
Sure.
Okay, with trumped up charges and lies.
Yeah.
And well, the whole communist thing's nothing but a lie. And so, but anyway, I think that the American public are starting to more and more get some kind of a grasp. Now, none of that ever gets into the media and all that, because the media is totally anti-American.
Oh my goodness, yes, all of them. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and they're influenced by the puppets that control them, of course. And just like our Congress and our Senate, and both sides of the aisle are controlled not by they go back there. They're not representing you and I.
Yeah. Yeah,
We
talked
only
about
have
that.
one politician as a leader that's representing you and I, and that's the President of the United States.
Yeah.
Now the other ones that now have joined with him and are working with him, they're all now on board,
Yeah.
and they see the dangers. And I'm telling you, it was scary with that FISA deal when you start to think about what can happen to any American. Okay, now let's go back and sitting here with IRS.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there. There again, I want to get you out of the mobile business. So I go to the IRS. I got a buddy there. I pay him so much, right? He trumps up the charges. And with the FISA, you have no defense.
None. It's all on black and white on paper.
And they
Yeah.
wrote the charges.
Sure.
You said, well, I never did that. Yes, you did. It says right here, you did. And they got an approval from the judge to go get you.
Oh Lord. Kind of scary, isn't it?
Because you don't even have to see the charges. All they got to do is take that charges.
Oh no, you don't.
They'll
have to
show
see them. I know
you.
that. Yeah.
They take the charges to the judge, and the judge gives the approval and issues a FISA warrant that goes out there and shuts you down. And you have no defense.
Yeah.
Pretty scary, isn't it?
You doggone right it is. It's
That's
very
why.
scary.
That's why these congressmen and senators. You've seen that on TV, and people like Devin Nunes, and when he first saw it, that's why they turned white.
Yeah.
Some of them said they actually vomited. That's so scary. What's going on?
What do you think about Nunes?
I think he's done a great job.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. I think he's done an outstanding
Well,
job.
he's
There-
gone through all kinds of torture right now by
Yes,
the
he is.
libtards, you know.
Yeah.
And but all those guys are, you
Yeah.
know. And but I also happen to know a little bit about him and his
I
family.
like him a
and-
lot.
and
Yeah.
you know, the culture and everything.
Yeah.
He's not going to back down.
No, and he hasn't, and that's one of the
no.
problems.
Well,
you know.
and that's one of the problems to him. He said something the other day I really liked, because he's mad. I mean, he's
Yeah.
very angry. What they did to him
as well he should be.
for 8 months.
Yeah.
They investigated him for 8 months, shut him down, and all that for 8 months. Look at Hillary; she's out fancy free. What's that all about?
Yeah.
And here's Nunes, right? Okay, so Nunes goes through that, boy, and he come out of there mad. They should have never done that with
Yeah.
this guy, because he's not going to be intimidated.
No.
He's not going to put up with them, and
No,
he's
he's
not going to
not.
listen to the garbage. He talks straight English like you and I, because he's not an attorney, and he's he's a dairy farmer.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, I got a kick out of him. I think it was yesterday. This CNN reporter shoves the mic in his face, and asked him about his. Well, what are you gonna do? This, and he says, "Hey," he tells this reporter as he's walking. He says, "Hey," he says, how did he put it? He says, "The end of democracy is the beginning of dark."
My goodness!
And he tells the guy that, he says, the end of democracy is the beginning of dark. Get it? He goes, "Get it? Well, then I suggest you get it."
Yeah. He's not. You're right. He's not going to take any crap.
No, he knows what's at stake, and it scared him to death. And now he and his family are being threatened and all this kind of stuff. He's going through a lot of hell right now, or has been.
For nothing. That's what it's like.
Well,
you
he's
said.
saving America, for crying out loud.
Yeah, exactly.
Wake up, libtard.
Yeah.
He gets to the point where you look at a libtard and you say, well, be nice to him. Like Gingrich says, these Republicans got to learn to be more like a libtard.
I loved it when Gingrich said that. Yes, I do. I definitely remember when he said that.
And don't feel like that these people, when you sit down with Chris Wallace and that bunch, Anderson, Cooper, and all that.
Oh, they're two of the worst.
When you sit down, they're not going to like you. You're not going to convince them ever.
Yeah.
So you better get by God tough with them.
That's right. You have to.
Yeah.
And that's what he said.
And that's what he does.
That's why you don't see them. You don't see Gingrich on one of their shows.
Well, that's why you don't see news very much either.
Yeah.
Because they want people they can intimidate.
Well,
although
there's
there's some really couple of good congressmen and senators that are I notice are appearing now. I can't remember. They got names I can't pronounce. I guess they're from the East Coast.
Yeah. There's a few of them I know. I've seen those names.
And but they're doing a great job in combating. The libtards are looking more and more like idiots, which they are the useful idiots required by every communist takeover in the history of the world.
They're very necessary.
The necessary, useful idiots. And that's pretty soon people are starting to, you look at it, don't you see it that way?
Oh, absolutely.
Some guy's sitting there not making any sense in the world to you in terms of anything, including maybe he kneels for the flag, or he doesn't want God in the courtroom and all this.
Yeah.
And then you look at him and say, what is this guy? And he's sitting there bad-mouthing a guy that's trying to the guy just passed the most revolutionary tax break in the history of the United States, and you're sitting there bad-mouthing. What's wrong with these people?
And the sad part about it is they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
And they're supporting crooks. They're supporting subversives.
Exactly.
They're supporting traitors. That's who they're supporting.
Yeah.
And then you look at that and you say, man, it's just uncomfortable being around.
It is. It is, Gary. I agree with you totally.
I think I have more in common with some Chinaman farming apples in China than I do with these people.
Yeah.
And these are supposed to be Americans. They're not Americans. Not the America that the Constitution's all about.
I'll tell you what, they're certainly not patriots.
Well, and not that at all. And they're not even advocates of the Constitution.
Yeah.
They wanted. You think that if Hillary got it, you think there wouldn't be changes in the Second Amendment?
Especially the Second Amendment. They already indicate that. Both the Fourth also.
And let's go down.
The First Amendment.
Their idea is the Constitution is obsolete and it should be done away with, and which they would bring in their own Constitution.
Yeah.
And another thing too about these libtards, they work hard. Let's say they're school teachers or whatever, but don't they realize that these people, if it was a takeover, they may not be school teachers. They may be out in the field working and picking cantaloupes at 105 degrees, because that's how all communist countries do with the useful idiots.
Yeah.
Once they've used them.
Once they've served their purpose.
They don't want them around. They're not the right kind of thinkers. They're just like you and I. They sit there looking at, how do these people think that way? But boy, I'm glad they are there.
Yeah.
Doesn't, like a black American that says votes Democrat, how in the world can that guy, now that he knows what he knows, how can he want to be? Those people have done. You talk about racism. Look there is no excuse for that, Ray. There's no excuse for the black American to be any different in terms of opportunity and not be relegated to a ghetto and
Great
not
point
think that
there.
that's where he's supposed to be,
Yeah.
because that's all he thinks he is, because they give everything to him, and he's totally dependent.
You know,
they have
I'll
taken
say
away
this,
his
and I'll
human
probably
spirit.
and I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but damn it, I'm going to say it. Trump has done more in 1 year for the African American community than Obama did in 8.
Yeah.
In 1 year.
Right.
In 1 year. I've said it. In 1 year.
Yeah, but I'll tell you the proof of it. Twice as many black Americans support Trump today
Exactly.
than did during the Obama years.
Yeah.
Now, what does that tell you?
Tells you that people are coming around and looking at things and realizing what's going on in this country.
And you know,
Yeah.
from the I say Obama years, but when Obama was president, right at the end, and the support that Trump had from the black community has doubled in 1 year.
Absolutely.
Well, don't you think that it's going to double again? Because
Of course it is.
You know,
Absolutely, it's going to double. It's
especially-
going to triple
yeah,
again.
well, I
know?
mean, come on. Let's say I'm in the ghetto, and you know, because they rob your spirit, okay.
Yeah.
But let's say I'm a young black in the ghetto, okay, and I'm sitting there trying to get out of here. Mom's been trying to get me out of here, and all this, and I'm seeing all this that's going on in there, which is just horrible. I can't think of any. I mean, it's maybe hell's like that, and that's about
Yeah.
it. But he's got enough to get out. He gets a job. Look how his life changes like that. Now he becomes a human again.
Yeah.
He's not some slave sitting there rotting in a ghetto at age 22, 25 years old.
Yeah.
Now he can have a family like everybody else and everything else. So why does he keep voting for a Democrat?
Doesn't make any sense, does it?
None at all. Because Democrats are the most racist people toward a lot of people.
Well, you're right,
You know?
and people are waking up and starting to see that. You know, Gary, we've run out of time again.
Have
as
we
we
ever?
do every single time when Gary comes on, it just flies by, ladies and gentlemen. And so we will. Hopefully, we'll all be back next week. And I want to once again thank all the people that have sent me texts and emails and cards and stuff. Thank you so much. And I know I named a bunch of you, and I know I left a bunch of you out. And for all of those that I left out, just as much. Thank you so very much. As we do every week. And before I do that, Gary, next week, can you come?
Yeah, sure.
We love having Gary here. He's going to come back next week, and he could continue to enlighten us like he does all the time. I'd like to say what I say every single week, ladies and gentlemen. That's about our men in blue here in Fresno and our highway patrolmen, our sheriffs, our FBI, any law enforcement officer that you happen to see. Go up and stick your hand out. I did it yesterday. I do it every day. I make a point of doing it. I feel bad at the end of the day if I forget to do it, and so I do it twice the next day to make up for that. But go up, and it's starting to spread. I've had people come back to me and say, "Oh my God, Gary did it," and Gary said it made him feel so good.
Yeah.
But
I do
more
it all the
importantly, it made them feel good. You know, and I did it last night. This guy had kind of a scowl on his face. He was Hispanic, and he was sitting in a car, and I went up, and he was watching me because they don't know what idiots walk up to him. And I stuck my hand out, and I told him, I said, you know, I have a radio show, and I encourage people to go up and shake hands with you guys and tell you that, you know, we think you're doing a great job because you get so much negative stuff crap coming at you all the time. We think somebody should come up and say something good to you. And boy, his smile came on his face, and he gripped my hand. Do that. It helps.
I do that now every chance I get.
Go up and tell them what we think of them and shake their hands and
I can
thank
tell
them.
you won't be sorry.
Oh, yeah, you won't be sorry, like Gary said. Go up and thank them. Let them know how we feel, okay, because they do a great job day in and day out, and we do appreciate them. So, ladies and gentlemen, until we meet joyously again next Friday at 3 o'clock, heaven's blessings.
From Detroit down to Houston and New York to L.A., where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
valleytalk.com